What's going on, guys? It's Aiden with Upper James Toyota, and today we put together a little compilation of our top rated daily driving cars. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Please do not forget to like and subscribe, and we'll check you guys out in the next video. All right, guys, welcome back. My name is Aiden Bounce, and I work here at Upper James Toyota, and behind me is going to be the best of both worlds. If you do not know if you want a sedan or an SUV, behind me is a 2025 Toyota Crown Platinum Max. There's two trim levels. This is the higher end version. Now, on this vehicle, you're getting a 2.4 four-cylinder paired with the hybrid max system. It's going to be making about 340 horsepower, 400 pound-feet of torque. We're gonna be looking on the outside, the inside, seeing what this vehicle has to offer. We're gonna take a closer look and see how this vehicle will fit for you. Okay, so a quick little intro onto the Toyota Crown. You don't see them on the road too often, and that's because they were first released in 1955. It was one of Toyota's first kind of mix of a sedan slash a Camry slash a crossover, and then they brought it back for 2023 and have continued it ever since. Now, this is basically a direct comparison to a Camry. Now, Camry's gonna be a bit smaller and sitting a bit lower. So going up to a Crown, you'll be getting about a 7-inch increase in height. So if you're looking for a car that's easy to kind of shuffle into and shuffle out to, this could be a very, very good fit for you or any passengers that you'll be carrying with you. Now, taking a look onto the front end, it's featured in a new color called Heavy Metal. So it's gonna have a couple interesting inserts of black. You'll see that on the side, you'll see that on the roof as well, but they come in a very interesting two-tone configuration, either in like a white, a red, heavy metal, which is like a gray, a dark gray, or even like a bronze color too. So they've kind of catered to some interesting colors onto an interesting vehicle that you don't see too often. Now, styling wise, I think they've done an excellent job. I love the front end. I love the front end headlights. I like the larger front grille. It kind of gives a more futuristic vibe while still being obviously a very, very reliable Toyota, which a lot of people want. Now, taking a look onto the side profile of a Crown. If you look at one big thing, you'll look down at these wheels and you'll be like, wow, those are pretty large, and that's the case. You're getting 21-inch alloy wheels. They're gonna be partnered up with mainly black, a little bit of silver inserts as well, which look good on any color. Now, upgrading to a Platinum Max, obviously you're getting a couple features you typically would not be getting on a Limited. One, that being is on the actual rear of the vehicle, you have rear steering, which is very interesting. It's a new thing for Toyota as well to be including that on a vehicle, but I think it's a really, really smart idea. A lot of other manufacturers are going that route, and obviously it's gonna be giving you more control over the road and keeping you and your family safe in this vehicle. All right, now looking at the rear of a Crown, a couple things to note. It's interesting because it's more of a sedan crossover, kind of like a hatchback almost in a sense, because the rear kind of opens up, towards the sky, which is interesting from a vehicle looking like this. It's kind of giving the same comparison, completely different classes, like a Porsche Panamera, for example, the sloped back that kind of arches into the trunk. But I think the styling is actually really, really cool. Now, it's not catered to everyone, but someone like myself, I'm definitely a big fan of it. I like how across the back, you're seeing Crown written in big, and in the bottom left corner, you're seeing Hybrid Max, letting everyone know you are in the highest end version of a Crown that you can get. Now, looking at trunk space onto a Toyota Crown, you put your hand down here, you'll feel a little button, push that in, the trunk will open up very, very easily for you. Now, looking into the trunk space onto the Crown, you actually have quite a lot of it. You can store a lot of great things in here. You don't need a huge SUV to obviously get some things done for you and your family. So if this works for you, come take a peek at it. They are very, very cool, and arguably, I would say, our softest riding vehicle now that we offer from Toyota. So that's another cool little thing, and someone who's definitely looking for something that's a little bit more luxurious feeling without breaking the budget, this could definitely be a vehicle catered for you. Okay, guys, so jumping into the interior of a Crown. So a couple things definitely to note. If you just saw a video that we'll be posting shortly as well, I did a Platinum Hybrid Max for the Grand Highlander, and they kind of follow the same suit with the Platinum trim. So you kind of have all the gold on the inside, on the shift knob, center center console on the dash, even on your volume knob up here, which I actually think is a really, really cool addition. I like how it's up here and it's kind of centered away from all of your climate controls on the vehicle. Now, this being a Platinum, I'm going to compare this exactly as the interior to the Grand Highlander Platinum, and I will notice the one thing is that there is no suede or Alcantara inserts on the seats. It's all leather, still have the gold stitching, still have the gold little rest up here, which I think is a really, really cool little feature they've added into this specific vehicle. Now, being in here, getting in and out of it, it's very, very easy. It's no step up, it's no step down. I really do like this. If you wanted a vehicle a bit higher up without going to an SUV, definitely consider the Crown. Now, this being fully loaded, getting JBL sound system, cooled seats, heated seats, all the features galore, Toyota's brand new and newest safety sense features with traffic jam assist, lane trace assist. There's a lot of great things catered, not only features wise, but also safety wise too. Now, again, my biggest thing in a vehicle is I love a panoramic moonroof, and this one has it. Now, it does have a bar in the middle here, so it's not full glass above you. However, I still love how much it opens up the interior. One cool thing I do like about this vehicle, which is not offered on a whole lot of ours, down here, I have my phone right now wirelessly charging, and I like how it's vertical. There's actually inserts in it that won't obviously let your phone tip or let the phone slide if it's horizontal. So I think that's a great addition that Toyota has made onto the interior of this car. And my favorite feature in this one is actually gonna be your center console. So if you press the button on the passenger side, it opens to them. But if I open it on my side, it opens up to me. So you've seen some other consoles that maybe only go up, or they're only one way and you have to reach over, or whatever the case may be. But I like how they've kind of added like a 2-for-1 on this. It's a very interesting feature that they have decided to put on this vehicle, and one that I think a lot of customers would really like and benefit from in this car. All right, now let's take a closer look onto the rear seats of a 2025 Toyota Crown. Okay, taking a step into the rear of the Crown. So, a couple things to note. I left my seat where it was just like normal. I've got enough room. I probably could have moved up a little bit, but I'm still comfortable back here. It's very, very spacious in a vehicle like this. And personally, I would be taking this over the closest competitor, which is a Camry. So I like how a couple things they've added onto the vehicle. JBL sound system, you have that onto the door inserts here. I like how there's rear heated seats, no cooled seats, just heated, but I'm more than fine with that. A couple vents, couple USB-C lightning ports as well. Obviously keep your things nice and charged up. If you pull down your center console down here, you've got 2 nice cup holders that will pop out, as well as one in each of the door. So you can be assured that anyone sitting in the rear of your Crown will be definitely more than comfortable. So on a vehicle at this size with the performance that it has, you're actually still gonna be averaging some pretty good numbers on the fuel economy side. Toyota rates this at 8.1 liters combined. However, I do have a couple clients in a Crown right now, and they are into the low 7s. Obviously depending kind of what driving you do, mainly city, mainly highway, and obviously when the hybrid system is kicking in the most, which is actually pretty good for a vehicle at this size. Now talking MSRP on a Platinum Max for 2025, MSRP $63,820. So that, you know, compared to a Toyota Camry, for example, those are coming in at just about 45 or so. So you definitely do get a pretty big price increase onto a vehicle like this, but obviously with the softer ride, a lot of power, a vehicle that sits a bit higher up, maybe if you're between a Camry or a Crown, this could kind of help you out and kind of determine which one's more catered for you. Hey guys, it's Aiden with Upper James Toyota again, and today I'm going to be doing an in-depth review on the new generation 2023 Prius. We've got one here for test drives. If you guys are in the area, please come down, come take it out for a drive, come take a peek for yourself, and let's take a look at it. Okay guys, so under the hood of the new generation Prius, you're getting a 2.0 liter 4-cylinder engine paired up with 2 electric motors. It's gonna make about 198 horsepower, which is a 60% power increase from the previous generation. So looking at the front end on the new Prius, this is an XLE model. So it is the entry-level model for the new Prius. Couple things to note on the front that I really do like. I think the new front design looks really, really great. I like the fog lights here on the bottom. I love the way that the turn signals and the actual headlights of the vehicle kind of wrap around, kind of giving it a way more futuristic look than the outgoing model. So looking at a closer look at the side profile of the new generation Prius, again, this being an XLE trim, it is your entry level. With that being said though, you still do get 19-inch, very, very good looking alloy wheels on this vehicle. Pair that up with the color on this, which is cutting edge silver. I'm a big fan. I think the contrast of the silver with some of the silver, the lighter and darker in the wheels look really, really great. Now, one thing to note about the new Prius, which is going to be a new feature on the new generation, is the fact that the new Prius is going to be all-wheel drive. So if you are looking for a vehicle that could go through some snow, could go through a cold winter time, and basically all seasons, this could be a vehicle for you. Looking at the side as well, you're gonna notice that along here, we're gonna have some body side moldings. So it's basically an add-on that we have added from the factory. You can get this installed on basically any of our vehicles. What it does is prevent any door ding, stuff like that if you're in the city, so that if a door opened up, it doesn't damage the full door. It just damages this little part, which you can easily peel that off, get a new one installed, which is gonna save you a little bit of money. This being a commuter car, it is a really good feature to have on the vehicle because you will be doing a lot of city driving with this vehicle. It's a small vehicle, so you can definitely get this into a smaller and tighter spot than maybe an SUV or an 8-passenger wouldn't be able to. Now, taking a look on the rear of the new generation Prius, I am a huge fan. The redesign makes the vehicle look very, very great and very futuristic in my opinion. It's no longer the older generation and cater to an older crowd. This is a very, very sleek looking vehicle. A couple things to note on the back that I really, really like. It's gonna tell you your trim level in the top right corner here, XLE in this case. It's also gonna show you across the trunk of the vehicle that you are in the new generation Prius, with underneath that saying hybrid electric vehicle, because obviously this is a hybrid, which is very, very good. Now, opening up the rear hatch of the vehicle is very, very simple. Simple push of the button will open that for you. And arguably there's actually a decent amount of trunk space in here. You could fit any groceries, strollers, anything that you're bringing to the new house, moving anything around. You actually do have quite a bit of space to lug things around in such a small, compact, very, very fuel efficient vehicle. Okay guys, so now taking a step into the new generation Prius. So if you've never been in a Prius before, this may be a little shocking to you. However, this is pretty crazy that this is an entry-level vehicle, especially a vehicle that definitely needed a redesign for many, many years. Now, being an XLE, the one big difference you're gonna get in this one versus the Limited, which is the only other trim option in a Prius, is going to be that you do not have a sunroof, or in the Limited version, the glass roof. So obviously, opening up this interior will make the vehicle feel quite a lot bigger. With no sunroof, it's still very comfortable, don't get me wrong. If you see my videos before, again, I'm a taller person, I'm 6'2", so I'm actually in a pretty comfortable driving position. The only thing I will note, and it's very, very good to know if you are looking in the market for a new Prius, is that if you're ever driving one of these, you actually would want to come and sit in one. Only because the way that the driver-centered screen is, with the steering wheel, it can't really be too high up and it can't really be too low either. You kind of have to find a sweet spot between the two, which takes a little bit of time to get used to if you're used to a steering wheel being a little bit higher up. But with that being said, the leather finishes on the inside is very, very great. Dual zone climate control, wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, heated seats, heated steering wheel, power driver side seat. It's gonna be a manual passenger side seat. Now, the shifter is very interesting as well. And it's one new thing that's going to be into the Crown and into a couple other vehicles like the Grand Highlander Hybrid Max is gonna have it. But it's this interesting little shifter dial, I guess I wanna say. So it kind of uses the old Prius technology. It's a little bit odd if you've ever driven one before, but it definitely takes some time to get used to, but it definitely alleviates having a shifter that's a lot larger, centered more in the middle here. It just gives you a bit more space to basically use, which is great. Now, a big talking point too in this vehicle is going to be the all-wheel drive system. And people think, okay, well, hey Aiden, if it's all-wheel drive, it's gonna use more gas. My fuel consumption isn't gonna be the greatest. Actually, you are right with all-wheel drive using a bit more gas. However, this will average a combined 4.8 liters per 100. So this is our demo vehicle. It's here all the time for test drives. When this is filled up all the time on ideal temperatures and a full battery, you will actually get about 1,100 kilometers of range on a single tank and a charge, which is crazy. Now, on the charge point of things too, it's very, very good to note that on this vehicle, you have one mode called EV. And EV, what that's basically gonna do is on a full charge of EV, which you will charge that up by braking, coasting, slowing down. That's what charges up the hybrid system. You can click this button, which is located right here, push that in, and in any bumper to bumper traffic, you can go roughly 13 total kilometers at about a maximum speed of about 30 kilometers an hour. Now, it might not seem like a very, very fast speed or a long distance. Either of them don't. However, it's basically just used for the time you're gonna be using the most gas, which is gonna be bumper to bumper traffic. So it is great for that commuter that needs to go into the city or is gonna be stuck in a bit of traffic. Definitely consider the new Prius as the new vehicle for you. Okay guys, now taking a step into the rear of the new generation Prius. So I left my seat where I was in the front. Again, being a taller person, I'm in the back now. Now I will say, I'm definitely pretty close on the back. I would not want to be in the back seat in here for a very, very long time, but if I definitely slouched a bit, I can make this work. It definitely comes with a lot of great features in the back too. If you have small kids in the back or you're just traveling somewhere, you've got two USB-C ports to charge up any things. You're gonna have two cup holders on the doors, cup holder in the center here as well. It's also very, very good as well to look in the rear of the trunk because theoretically it's kind of like a hot hatch in a sense because the trunk opens upwards towards the sky. But if you take out the little privacy cover, theoretically anyone in the back could actually reach over and grab anything in the trunk. So in case you needed, like if you left your purse back there or your phone was back there or something that you needed, a water bottle, it's nice. It kind of gives you a little bit of access in a very small car to basically access every part of the vehicle while you are inside. So there you have it, the new generation Prius. We have this vehicle here for test drive. So please do come on down. You can book an appointment to come and take it out for a drive, see what it is like to actually get behind the wheel of one. Again, if you are that commuter, you do a lot of city driving or fuel efficiency is very, very important to you, definitely consider this vehicle. Now, if you're also looking to go even a little bit greener on it, you could also be looking at the Prius Prime, which is a plug-in version. I'm sure we will get one down the road. We'll do a review on that one as well to kind of show you the main differences. However, this base level XLE Prius comes in at $37,150 is the MSRP. Plus your freight, PDI, dealer fees, licensing, and taxes. However, it is a very, very good bang for your buck of what you are getting. Hey guys, it's Aiden with Upper James Toyota, and today I'm going to be comparing luxury versus practicality. On the left-hand side of me, I've got a 2024 Lexus IS 300 luxury package versus a 2025 Toyota Camry XSE hybrid. Let's take a peek, see which one works better for you and your family. Let's talk about front ends for both the IS and the new Camry. So I'm gonna start with the IS first. I'm going to say that the front end of this vehicle, after doing a little deep dive online, I have known that basically when it comes to the luxury model of the IS, it's not as common as the F Sports, and the front grille is actually a little bit different on the luxury package than the regular F Sport or just the base IS 300. Everything that I've seen online, people have talked about this chrome piece going all the way down to the bottom, matching in with this kind of dark gray front grille. I'm actually gonna be a huge fan of this, especially paired up with this really cool reverse checkmark headlight. One thing to note is whenever you see a new IS on the road, which I think it's gonna be the 23 and above, is gonna have this new front end design with this headlight. I think the DRLs look insanely great on a new IS 300. Now, this with the front end, it is a very, very large front grille. When I originally saw this vehicle, I wasn't necessarily hugely attracted to the front grille, but now actually seeing it in person, seeing the body lines with the hood of this vehicle to the front end, I actually think Lexus has done a very, very great job. And it's actually one thing I will be taking over the Camry is going to be the front end and the headlights on the Lexus versus the new 2025 Camry. Now onto the front end of the new Camry. If you're looking down here at the headlights, I'm a big fan of the new design. I did a Prius video not too long ago and they kind of share the same headlight. So it starts on the bottom, loops back up into the bottom end of your hood. I think it looks really, really cool and obviously gives it a very, very great new front end design. Now the front grille is very different for this year as well. It's basically the newest addition to the 2025 Camry and something that I think makes the car look very, very different. One thing I will be giving Toyota kudos for is on the front end of the new Camry is that this actual functional air vent will actually be a little bit larger than the IS. I think the IS has a small little insert Doesn't look bad, but obviously when it comes to a front functional vent, you want something a bit larger. So I think Toyota's done a very, very great job, especially adding this interesting little splitter on both corners of the front bumper. I think they've done a very, very good job at keeping the vehicle very practical, yet a very, very aggressive look to such a practical everyday driving car. Now, talking about wheels onto the Lexus versus the Camry, I will be saying that on the IS luxury package, you get this very, very multi-spoke silver looking wheel. Now, I'm not a huge fan of it if you're gonna ask me for my honest opinion. I think there's just too much going on all in one, and there are so many spokes onto this alloy wheel. So I do like the design of Toyota over Lexus on this one, especially with the different colors too. I think an all one color wheel, whether it's all black, that's probably my favorite if you're gonna do a solid color. However, if it's gonna be fully silver, for me, I'm just not a big fan of all the spokes and the color on this wheel for this vehicle. Now, taking a peek onto the side profile of the Lexus IS 300, the one thing I will be saying is that the lines on the side of this vehicle versus the Camry are a little bit different. They're actually a bit more rounded off on the Lexus here, and they don't make the vehicle look as aggressive as the Camry does, which is interesting. So you're looking for something that is a little bit more sleek in that sense. Maybe this vehicle is, more suited for you. Now, one thing I will say that I wish Lexus changed is down here on your lower rocker panel. For Toyota, you can obviously get this as a gloss black on the Camry. So the gloss black, I think for me, matches the mirror caps a little bit better and kind of well rounds the vehicle and makes the vehicle look actually a little bit more expensive. I'm actually interested to think that Lexus didn't do that on this vehicle because the matte plastic definitely does not look as expensive versus the gloss. Now, talking rear end of the Lexus IS 300, I'm actually going to be saying I am very in favor for the rear of this vehicle. One thing to note on the vehicle that I think looks crazy good is their Lexus lights are phenomenal. So front end are great, rear end I also think they did a very good job. If you look on the rear here, you will see that their brake light actually comes across the entire stretch of the rear of the vehicle. So if you're ever driving the nighttime and you see this kind of little like horizon almost on the rear end of the Lexus, I think they've done a very, very good job to show off what this vehicle could look like with the lights on. Now, a couple things I will say though that I'm maybe not so in favor for is going to be down here on the rear bumper. I think that this not being white or just extending this down a little bit more would obviously make the vehicle look a little bit more well-rounded in my opinion. You guys can let me know down below what you think. But what I will say is having such a large chunk as plastic, I know why manufacturer would do that. So that obviously if you get into an accident on the vehicle, you're not replacing, a massive full painted, full body framed panels. It's just more so a plastic bumper cover, which I can understand. However, on a Lexus, and especially at this price point getting into a new IS and as a luxury package, I would think that maybe this would be deleted and they'd actually add in the actual panels of the vehicle painted in the color that you order your new Lexus in. Now, looking into the trunk space of the IS 300. Now, I put these chairs in the Camry beforehand to see what the space on the inside can do and what that looks like while actually holding something in the trunk of the vehicle. We put the same chairs, same configuration into the rear of this vehicle, and what I will say is that the trunk actually looks a little bit smaller actually in this one. It's not as deep, doesn't go as far back into the vehicle. I'm definitely interested to see what it looks like now on the inside and the rear seat of the Lexus, because I was talking about that on the Camry beforehand. That's a little bit tight for someone at my height. So I'm interested to see obviously if the maybe a little bit smaller trunk space has obviously opened up the rear for any rear passengers into the back of a Lexus. All right, now looking onto the rear of the 2025 Toyota Camry. So let's begin XSE. You're gonna be seeing down below here, it's gonna say XSE all in black, which I think is gonna be a really good pop, especially on a vehicle that is all black. Now, looking onto the rear of the vehicle, I'm going to say this is probably the only part of the vehicle that actually looks similar to the outgoing model. So this being a 9th generation Camry, I still think that the rear end is probably the only area of this vehicle that you can actually see a comparison versus the outgoing 8th generation Camry. Now, looking at trunk space on this vehicle, because obviously this being one of our larger sedans, you still need a lot of trunk space for practicality to have this vehicle as a daily driver. Now, if you open up the trunk, the cool thing is it's now centered to the right of the logo. It actually used to be under the logo before. Now it's all the way here over to the right. Now we have some lawn chairs put in here. 2 big ones, a little small one. However, you can still see how far back this trunk actually goes. So if you're gonna use it for groceries, going to the beach, transporting anything, you're definitely still gonna have a lot of space into the new design for a Toyota Camry. Okay, now taking a step into the inside of the IS 300 luxury package. So, a couple things to note off the bat is that comparing this to the new Camry, I was saying that with the outgoing model for the Camry and the new redesigned generation as a 9th generation Camry, that everything feels a bit more premium in that vehicle. Now, I think that's still very, very true against the Camry. What I will say is that this inside feels 5 times the premium feel like the Camry does. For example, the feeling of the leather, the feeling of the dash, the steering wheel, kind of where you're sitting and how you actually feel inside the seats, which are super, super soft and very, very comfortable. It does feel very, very luxurious. However, is it worth the price difference? That's obviously up to you guys. Now, looking on the inside, I will say though, my parents have had Lexuses before in the past. I've obviously driven quite a few Lexuses because we do obviously have quite a few used ones here at our dealership. And I will say is that for a 2024, the inside of this vehicle really looks the same as other previous Lexuses. You still have this little touchpad down here. The backup camera still isn't, as great as you'd expect a 2024 model to be. The way things are laid out, the way the knobs looked, all the shifters look. I remember my papa had like an ES350 and it was like a 2014 or a 2015, and his shifter looks very, very similar to this one, which is interesting how they haven't changed it in obviously so many years. It is laid out very, very nice. The way that this all feels and the way that you actually feel inside the vehicle, I think Lexus has done actually a pretty good job. A couple of things definitely to note though is that you only have one sunroof. There's no panoramic moonroof in this vehicle. So obviously if you see my videos before, I'm a huge fan of having that, sunroof that extends into the second row. Now, I was doing a couple comparison videos and looking at a couple of videos before actually taking this video and shooting this video here, and people were saying that there is a hump on the right leg of the driver. So I'm a bit taller, and obviously the way my leg sits down, there actually is this little hump on the bottom where my leg would go. I've seen some people say they don't mind the hump. They kind of put their leg up a little bit more and they don't feel it. Well, I do feel it, and I will actually say it's not the worst thing. I know that it's not there for a driver's like leg rest, or maybe if it is, you guys can correct me in the comments. However, people have said that that's just the way that the transmission actually goes underneath the vehicle down the center of it, and that's why they had to kind of incorporate the hump into the interior of the vehicle. With that being said, on the inside of this car, you still are getting quite a few great options: cooled seats, heated steering wheel. But if you're going to compare this versus the Camry, for example, which comes in at a much higher price tag, you don't get JBL sound system. There's no heads-up display, no panoramic sunroof. So for me, I'm gonna go Toyota on this one all day long as the interior. I wish they had maybe some of the finishes of the Lexus inside the Camry, but the screen's smaller, your multi-information display, it's not digital. It has the old school needles on it, which I know you can option between F Sports and whatnot. I think Toyota has done a very good job comparing to this vehicle in particular. Now, the one thing I also will say is that I drove this vehicle on the weekend to kind of get a driving feel for it, because obviously, this does drive a little bit differently than the Camry. One thing I will say is that the turn signals are very interesting as well. So typically on a turn signal, you push it down once and it'll blink 3 times for you to change a lane. And if you push it down twice, it typically will stay down there until you've made your turn, and then it'll snap back up like most turn signals. But a Lexus, you actually push it twice down and it comes back up for you. So it's a little weird learning curve to note. That's one thing when I was driving, I was like, why is the signal not turning off for me? So I think it's a very, very interesting thing to note, and something that I definitely noticed when I was driving this vehicle. Okay guys, so taking a peek onto the 2025 Toyota Camry. So jumping inside, it definitely feels very familiar with the outgoing model. Only thing I will be saying is that everything now feels a little bit more premium, I would say. You feel the steering wheel, you feel the leather, you feel the seats. Everything they've done and the finishes that they've left on the vehicle definitely make the car feel a little bit more expensive, which I think is a really, really nice touch that Toyota is doing. It kind of more feels like a Lexus in a sense. This versus the outgoing model, a lot of things have changed. So standard on an XSE model, for example, JBL sound system, cooled seats, heated seats, full panoramic moonroof on the vehicle. You're getting a 12.3 touch display with wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Sirius XM. You have all the new features and the new safety sense features. You actually have TSS 3.0, which definitely needed an update from the outgoing model, having 2.5 plus. So having this and all of the newest features obviously will be keeping you and the people inside the vehicle very, very safe. The one interesting feature I will say is that centered behind the actual steering wheel, there's a small little screen. And on that screen, it is actually going to be something called your driver monitor camera. What this does, it will actually be looking directly at you. And if for some reason you are looking not directly in front of you on the road and you're looking to your right, it will actually alert you to put both hands in the steering wheel and look forward, which I think is a really interesting thing. They've added this onto the Crown, they've added this onto the Grand Highlander Hybrid Max, and I think a lot of our newer redesigned models are going to be having one of these features, and I think it's a really interesting one. So that's one interesting new thing that I wasn't used to driving the new Camry. However, when you're sitting in here, it feels luxurious. That's the easiest way I could kind of put it. Everything about that, the way things are laid out with the new screens and the improvements that they've made. Obviously, this is being a top of the end model for us, but even the outgoing previous generation, you know, you'd start from a 7-inch screen and you could work up to a 9-inch screen. Well, now in the new 2025, you start at an 8-inch screen and you can work your way all the way up to a 12.3-inch screen. So they've definitely added a couple new things here. Talking about the seats, that's one interesting thing. Onto an SE or an SE upgrade model for a Camry, you'll be getting a white insert down the middle of your seats. It's kind of like a mixed soft text with a little bit of fabric into the seats. These ones are all black. Now in an XSE, you can option it to be all black, or you can actually still get cockpit red, which is the full red interior Camry, which was very, very popular beforehand. I actually like the black. The red is very, very bright. So for me, having the vehicle outside being black, I like the inside also being black. I think they've done a very, very good job to keep it simple, but also still kind of adding a more sporty design with the red option interior. Now, I've done a Crown review before. The Crown sits a little bit higher up than the Camry, but it definitely makes the vehicle feel a little bit higher up, like you kind of are in an SUV. However, in the Camry, the way that you're sitting now and the way that the car feels and how you feel in the vehicle, the one reason I think I like the Crown as well is that it felt a little bit more spacious. I think they've now added that into the Camry. So I would actually be taking a Camry over the Crown. I think they've done a very, very good job at laying this vehicle out very, very well. Now, a couple other things to note. Standard on this package, JBLs, of course. Heads-up display is a big one. The 12.3-inch screen with your MID in front of you as well. I think that they have really catered this to not only the driver, but also anyone else inside the vehicle. So it definitely could be a very, very good option for you and your family down the road. Hey guys, I know you guys are enjoying the video, but please do not forget to like and subscribe so we can become the #1 Toyota YouTube channel on earth. All right guys, now into the rear of the IS300 luxury package. Couple things to note. Versus the Camry, I definitely have a bit more headspace back here. So I definitely feel like I would be a little bit more comfortable with the more roomy feel of this vehicle. But what I will say is that I left my seat, just like the Camry, were exactly where I was sitting in it comfortably, like I'd be driving the vehicle. And I am very, very squished back here. My legs are right up against the seat. I maybe could push it forward a little bit. However, it's definitely a little bit crammed in here. I couldn't imagine having, you know, 2 other people in here with me, because it definitely would feel a little bit tight. Now, you would think of a vehicle that comes in at such a higher price point, you'd have a lot more, you know, luxurious things in the back here. But, you know, you pull this down and your cup holders pop out in a very interesting way, clicking this button, and then they obviously come forth like that. You get the cup holders in the rear of the Camry as well. You have no storage in any of the doors. You just have the little door handle to hold onto. You've got 2 vents, no charging ports. Got a couple lights back here, I guess, which is a nice touch. However, you'd be thinking at a vehicle at this price point, maybe the back seat would offer maybe a little bit more. Again, the only thing I can say is that it definitely feels luxurious. The leather, the finishes inside the vehicle are very, very nice. But maybe this is suited to someone who has maybe, you know, no one in the back seat, or someone with, you know, smaller children, or maybe just no kids at all. However, being in the back, it definitely feels a little bit more crammed versus the Camry. Jumping into the rear of the 2025 Camry. So, couple things to note. We've got the armrest down here. Again, I'm a bit taller. I am right on the cusp in the back seat here. So I don't really know if I slouch down a little bit, maybe it'd be a little bit more comfortable for me. But if I was actually sitting completely upright, I would be kind of right on the roof of the new Camry. So I think I'd be definitely more suitable to go in the front of the vehicle rather than the rear. With that being said though, it's still very, very comfortable. It's still very, very spacious. Now, obviously just being myself in the vehicle right now, if you added someone into the second seat in the middle here and then one on the other side, it might be a little squishy back here. But just for myself right now, or if I had one other person next to me here, I think it'd be more than fine and I would be comfortable to go on a nice ride. Now, a couple things I will say, it's interesting onto the XSE because if you go XLE on a Camry, you get a couple more luxury features. But I thought it's interesting on the XSE, they didn't add heated rear seats onto the Camry. I thought they probably would for the new design. I know that, you know, that's a common feature nowadays is having heated rear seats. They don't have that on this vehicle, which I think is interesting. You look down here and you feel around, you've got a couple USB-C ports. You got 2 of them actually, so you can flip them down. Obviously you can plug in your stuff, but that's really it back here. There's no, you know, climate control. There's just some vents down here, some cup holders in the center. If you guys have watched the videos before, you guys know that I love a moonroof that comes all the way back into the second row. And I think that if that wasn't into the second row, you would feel a lot more claustrophobic in the back of this vehicle. With that being said, I still think they've done a very, very good job redesigning this vehicle. For a vehicle to be around for as long as the Camry has been, to have that going on the market for its 9th generation, you know, it hasn't had a redesign since 2018. I think that there's a lot of high hopes from, you know, customers of Toyota and obviously such a large brand. And people were wondering what's going to happen when they redesign the Camry. Is it going to look, you know, over the top? Is it going to be too futuristic? Is it going to look like the previous generation? That's a question a lot of my customers have asked, was that, you know, what's going to happen for the new Camry? I'm so happy to not only be able to drive one, have one here as a test drive unit, because this is what this vehicle is here for. It's a test drive unit vehicle, but I think they've done a very, very good job. The only thing that I'm necessarily not the biggest fan of, I'm going to say, is yes, the back room here is not the greatest for headroom. I don't like how there's no heated seats in the back, but other than that, I think this would be a very, very good practical car for you and your family moving down the road. Okay guys, let's talk some differences over some numbers with these two vehicles. On the Lexus, you'll be getting a 3.5 V6. It's gonna be making about 260 horsepower, but you'll be averaging about 10.6 liters per 100, which is premium fuel. You have to remember that as well. Versus the Camry, which is gonna be a 2.5 4-cylinder, making about 232 horsepower, averaging about 5.6 liters per 100. All right guys, to wrap it up, let's talk pricing for these two models. The IS300 luxury package for 2024 model is coming in at $58,655. Obviously, you still have a few things to add like tax, licensing, freight, and PDI. But if you're going to take that number versus the Camry coming in at $44,250, plus obviously the other taxes and fees, I'm going to be saying, on my personal opinion, the Camry is going to be my choice between the two of them. I think that talking about the price difference and the different features you get between one and the other, I think Toyota's done a very, very good job, and they've put a very, very competitive vehicle that's been around for so long against obviously their rivals, which is Lexus, and they have done a very, very good job to kind of even out the playing field for a full-size sedan. All right guys, thanks so much for watching this comparison video between the Lexus IS300 luxury package versus the 2025 Toyota Camry XSE. Please do remember to like and subscribe so you do not miss any more of our Toyota related future content, and we'll see you guys in the next video.